Welcome to The Fence with your hosts, Mitch
and Gar.
Our goal as your hosts is to help give a leg up to both first-time exercisers and those of you interested in getting started in strength training or in the gym. The topics we cover could help you with fat loss, could help you learn how to run better, could help with sports performance, could help with strength training, could help with powerlifting, could help with getting more girls. It could help with getting more guys. Could help with growing that peach.
Actually, more guys than girls.
We cover right. I know, right? Like you work out for so long, you put in all this work, and the only people commenting on your biceps in the gym is the bros.
Hey, nice pecs, brother.
But whatever that goal is, we cover all of those topics in here. We have special guests on, and between me and Gar, we have a fair amount of knowledge on our own. Let us help you get off the fence and into the body you deserve. Today, we're talking about compound lifts. Particularly, we're going to touch on squat, deadlift,
bench press, shoulder press,
okay? And our OHP.
Press. Yeah.
There might be some other topics that come up, but we're going to really try to focus in and dive in on each of these and provide expert knowledge from years and countless scenarios of us providing feedback and learning different cues and ways to increase your strength, your numbers with these lifts, to improve posture issues, to improve, and just kind of pick apart any issues that we see that are really common, and there are quite a few. These compound lifts have a lot of things going on.
Sure, 100%.
Yeah, and we're excited about it. So, what do you want to do first? Which one should we touch on first?
How much do you bench, bro?
Okay.
You know, the freaking question when you are proud of your squat or deadlifting, but everyone asks you bench.
Right. And the bros care about that. The chest press, I was always, it was always my favorite workout probably as an early lifter. And so let's dive into it, man. So bench press, we're going to, you could do it a bunch of different ways, right? Lots of different pieces of equipment.
Oh, hell yeah. Bunch of bars, different benches.
Right,
but
dumbbells.
Let's stick to the, let's say, good old regular bench press.
I agree.
So regular straight bar.
Yep. So we're going to focus on the barbell in specific with this.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
so what's the number one thing maybe that you see as far as any issues, or just whether it be weightlifting or mobility issues or technique?
Easy peasy. Most of the people just lay completely flat on the bench. There is no leg force, nothing there. It just like you see those legs are dangling when they deadlift.
I hope they're not dangling when I don't know how you're doing that.
Shit.
You're levitating.
So since when they're benching, there is absolutely no leg force. A lot of times they lift their butt. So those issues are the biggest one, and you can see that almost all the time. And elbows flaring out. And you ended up doing this while you're benching. AKA no chest at all.
And you're putting your shoulders and even your elbows, those joints at great risk. And a lot of times if I have a client and they're having shoulder pain, I'll tell them you want to essentially, and we're going to do a follow-up episode actually on this, or possibly just some content on our own, because a lot of this is very visual learning. But when you're holding that bar, you want to create force on the bar, like you're trying to bend it into a U shape. And that's going to naturally cause your elbows to flare down, and it's going to create a ton of tension in the elbow, the shoulder, you name it. And it's going to create real sturdy, and that's probably the number one tip that I give people as far as stability. And if they're having trouble increasing their weight, when I tell them to do that, they're able to push more weight right away.
Oh yeah, I agree with that, because it's like it does create a lot of force when you do that. You know what I'm saying? Because here's the thing: a lot of times you just can't be loose and still bench press. You know what I'm saying? But when you're trying to bend that bar, man, you are making all force, starting in your grip and going all around. You know what I'm saying? It's like everything is working. And actually after that, that's one of the best ones to go.
Well, I want to touch back on your first one, the legs.
Yeah.
And so you may see somebody bench press with their knees kind of flex up, feet resting on the bench. And there's a reason for that. That's going to force you to go extremely controlled. You're involving more core to stabilize. There's a reason people do that. But if you're trying to push more weight in the gym, you need stability. So having those feet 100%. Down, first thing is going to create stability. So it helps if you can reach the floor. I have some female clients who have a hard time and will actually place yoga blocks under her feet so she's able to reach the floor. It's also, you may, I think what you're originally referring to, though, is the powerlifting style of driving into the heels, or even I've seen people do on the balls of feet. So I want you to talk on this because you're a little more knowledgeable on it, probably. Yeah. Although I'm.
But let me, I actually wanted to add to the tip of what you said about dropping the elbows down, right?
Okay.
One of the ways is a straight arm pull downs. Like you do tricep extensions, but now it's like just with the straight arm. And exactly. Yeah. It's like activates your lats, because proper setup for a bench press is always your scapula, shoulder blades down, nice and flat, and lats are activated. That's why if you, let's say, high reps, if you are going high reps and you are doing right, you're going to feel pump in your back too.
And also, by bringing those shoulder blades in and digging them into the bench, you're also stabilizing that shoulder joint.
Exactly. And plus, more range of motion when you touch your chest at the end.
Yeah.
So, set up a leg drive, pretty much. So I'm big on that one. I never, even if I warm up, and I always... Even when I was benching 450, and I'm going to get back to that, when my hand will get better, I was still starting with the bar, okay? Still starting with the bar, my warm-up, and leg drive. Like pretty much try to press the earth down, while you are on the bench, while still glutes are remaining on the bench, all right? You pretty much flex all your body, everything that works. When I max bench, I cramp. My lower body cramps.
Hamstrings.
This is how hard I do. But there is a way bigger. It's like it will give you, it might, depends what level you are, you might see a 30-pound difference or so. Okay. If you do a leg drive, you know what I'm saying? Higher. But if you don't, then you will see it's more sloppier. And you are more stable too. You can actually hold a large amount of weight. So... And I became spoiled from my gym because we have a nice wide competition benches. But if you go to the LA Fitness on Crunch Fitness, those things are hella narrow.
Even mine are on the trailer. They're a little narrow.
Yeah. So it's like if you are a bigger dude or if you're going for a higher weight, you will be very unstable on it. And leg drive does magic. I mean, I'm telling you, I went to the one time I did like a 400 for 3 reps in a Crunch Crunch Fitness. There you go. I did a freaking 400 pounds there for 3 reps. And here's the thing. When I picked it up, my mistake was I didn't engage my legs right away. Picked it up and I started wobbling. Then I was like, oh shit. So I engaged my legs and I was stable like a bullet. So it does the magic. You have to learn how to do it. And we will do another episode of how to.
Yeah, we'll do that video form. Probably not on the mic, on the podcast setup. We'll do that with our DJI mics and maybe on the trailer at the gym. Yeah. So you're creating lots of force. The only time my hips will rise, which I'll allow, you need to keep that core tight, okay? And then on my heavy 1 to 2 rep maxes, my hips will sort of hover off the bench.
That will be like a red light on a competition. You can
really?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, that's I was a judge too this time. So, and here's the thing too. You can pick up the bar while your hips are like hovering, as you said. You know what I'm saying?
Drop.
But when you will get into the position, you have to put your butt back on a bench, and then only then you will start your lift. If it will, even for like a little bit, like just 1/3 of the inch, goes off the bench. Right.
Gotcha. Did not know that. Great insight.
But that's the powerlifting though. It's a sport. So.
And it's a technique, that I hated on as a new lifter. I thought to myself, oh, they're cheating. It's ugly. It's not safe, blah, blah, blah. And I've learned the science of it, learned that it is a safe movement, learned that it's an effective stabilizer as well as power output technique. And there's a place for it for everybody. And I'm not a power lifter. Gar would identify as a power lifter. I'm more of a cross trainer. I'm not anything, but I utilize a little bit of everything from everything. And so just to break it down lastly, when you're getting bench set up, you want those eyes just underneath or slightly past the bar up towards the head of the bench.
Exactly.
Everyone's grip is going to be a little bit different. You need to find what works best for you. You don't want to go too wide because you're going to put strain on your forearms and your shoulders. You don't want to go too close because you're not going to get maximum power output.
100%.
And then create, you're going to get that bar. Find that stance, find some spot on the knurling that you can mark, and then you're going to unrack it, bring it down to the center of your chest about nipple line, and it's not actually going to be a straight line. It's going to be a slight arc, so it's going to come down right around the nipple line, and it's going to come back up over about your chin or eyes. And then just don't forget to create that internal rotation by squeezing that bar, and I think, and then the foot placement stabilized. I think we already mentioned that. Did that cover everything?
Pretty much, yes, it did. We even freaking covered the semi warm-up too. So, actually, yeah.
So that's pretty much all the tips that I think we need to cover. And then beyond that, if you're experiencing shoulder pain, you might want to adjust your grip. You also go back to that internal rotation.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I will tell you this, guys. We always forget about those poor muscles. Those poor little muscles that actually mean a lot. We always train with the big muscles, regular stuff.
The glamorous.
Huh?
The glamorous, the fun stuff. The manly, the meaty stuff.
We forget that actually small but meaningful. And that's the rotator cuffs. Always do the warm-ups. Super light band. I will demonstrate that in the future too.
Yeah, we'll include all this in the video. Band pulls, face pulls with external rotation. Get those thumbs way back.
Oh, that's beautiful exercise. Actually, one of my favorites, all-time favorites.
If there's one I had to pick, I would go to that.
Yeah, it's
multiple
one
sets.
of the best ones, 100%.
The more time you spend back here, the better. Well, game changer.
Yeah, and because a lot of us get shoulder pain from nowhere, and even when our form is fine, because those poor guys being weak, we never took care of them. So a lot of people, me personally, I do it before every training, like religiously.
Every upper body I do.
Exactly. And clients are getting tired too. Oh man, we always do the same shit. Like,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly, it works. It's one of the favorite. I've been doing that for years.
That's strength training for you guys. It shouldn't be glamorous. You shouldn't have tons of cool content to post per se for your day-to-day workouts. Now, if you're trying to provide additional value, if you're trying to show specialty things to help with prehab or rehab or mobility issues, but I'm just saying, you're going to repeat the same things over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
I've been squatting for over a decade now, so hey, nothing changed other than a bar sometimes.
Right. All right, topic number 2, lift number 2. Let's cover deadlift.
Oh yeah.
All right, so the deadlift, you got your 3 major leg movements. You got your squat, you got your deadlift, so you got your squat, you have your hinge, and then you have a single leg, right? And anything can fall into those categories. So there is a hinge in a squat. So a squat is lots of knee bend, a little bit of hip hinge.
Yeah.
Deadlift is the opposite. It's lots of hip hinge, a little bit of knee bend.
Yes.
Right. And then the single leg could be looked at, it's kind of a squat, same movement pattern, depending on exactly what you're doing, and you want to do all 3.
And then there is the positions. There is the types of deadlifts we have. Oh boy! As much as I don't like freaking like a benchers that do crazy ass arches, and that's what you meant, I believe, about the ugly part in two at one moment.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and I freaking don't like them anyways. But IPF, I think they did a new rule now that you cannot do that anymore.
Right. Okay.
God bless them. But anyways, so there is the deadlifts. The wide sumos. I cannot stand that shit. It's like a 3 inches of drive. Like a
where you got
movement.
You've seen the guys lifting big weight. They're tiny guys, big weight, and those toes, they have to literally hop back in because those plates are going to slam their toes because they're so wide.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the thing. And I can understand that. I do sumo. Because I got a few herniation discs back from army and blah, blah, blah. So, and sumo feels way better for me. And here's the thing. I had to relearn that because I was conventional deadlifter and I did over 600 pounds with a conventional deadlift. So I always loved, and you feel like a machine too when you're doing conventional deadlift. It's not a freaking feeling. But it is what it is. So right now I do sumo, and it definitely is way more different than what those gentlemen do. It's like, so that's the three forms. Sumo, that crazy ass sumo that freaking puts you under the risk of smacking your toes,
and then just
and the regular conventional deadlift.
Conventional, and then you do have other things, like the RDL, right, and the single leg deadlift, B stance deadlift, and
that's
these things.
When we break down into the
but these are all part of what we're talking about. They're all part of or a variation of the deadlift, but we're gonna mostly cover, I guess, conventional, and we'll touch on sumo as well.
Yeah.
All right. So I think the biggest it is the number one, I believe, from my own experience and from coaching people, number one hardest compound lift to teach and to learn, as well as the most neuromuscularly taxing compound lift on the market.
Oh, yes. That's why a lot of times I actually, my clients who want to just improve their health and build the muscle and stuff, we almost don't do regular conventional deadlifts because there is I would say, more exercises that give the same stimulus without so much fatigue.
And possibly, risk of injury.
Oh, yes.
And the only reason I bring that in is because it is such a technical move, and depending on the age of your client, depending on past injuries and stuff like that, you got to really be careful with when you're choosing this exercise. But it is an extremely effective exercise, and obviously it needs to be done right, just as any other lift.
Absolutely.
But yes, agreed. And so I have a client. He has really tight hips, and so after banging away at that conventional for quite some time, it just never got to the place we wanted it. Never was so smooth. And trust me, we're going to touch on all these topics, and I feel very knowledgeable in coaching this.
Yeah.
But we just ended up opening his stance a little bit, and the move is just so much smoother now, more comfortable for him.
Oh. So he did more like strongman-ish because strongmen are pretty much they
just
have
a little wider,
under the shoulders,
because
most of the conventional deadlifts is super close to each other,
right?
But shoulder width,
So conventional deadlift, it's almost my squat stance.
Oh.
It might be a little more narrow than my squat stance. And that varies for everybody's frame.
Oh, yeah.
It varies on mobility issues and stuff like that. But and I like to have my feet flared out just a little bit sometimes, and sometimes I'll have them straight forward. And then I'll also do a healthy mix of the sumo 1 week, and then I'll do the conventional 1 week, and then I'll throw in some big old RDLs, either sumo or not.
Yeah, conventional style, I just do RDLs right now. That's it, pretty much. I don't do regular conventional at this moment. And here's the thing. I still build enough my sumo to be as strong as my conventional was.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's still not there.
Well, I mean, and especially right now, he's still recovering from his injury and surgery and all that, and he's slowly inching back. Actually, what were you squatting on? What was that machine called?
Oh, that's not, so.
It was a squat, but
yeah, it's a transformer bar. It's by Kabuki Strength. They make awesome bars. Actually, when I will finally buy a home and have a garage gym, that's one of the first bars I'm gonna get. Fantastic bar. You can actually put in the different positions: low bar squat, high bar squat, and difficulty levels. So where you put the bar plates on, you can adjust it and make it further from the bar, and that makes really hard. So as I said, on that one, it was on the hardest difficulty.
Okay.
So
what was that number?
420 pounds.
Probably felt good to do it. I loved your reaction after. You're like, what'd you say? Damn.
Damn. I could do 30 pounds more.
But to stay on topic, so I think biggest thing we covered kind of like the background of the deadlifts and all that. Now we're going to dive into some techniques and cues. So it is a hinge, right? So we have tons of hamstrings and glutes in this movement, but it's not just a lower body exercise, is it, Gar?
Oh, absolutely not.
What else we got working?
Lots of lats are going, traps are going. And grip, man, here's the thing. I know a lot of people like to use grip straps, but I will minimize as much as I could because, listen, it's grip, strong grip going to help you in many things in your life, okay? And it just, in a powerlifting, it doesn't matter if you can deadlift a freaking, like, let's say 1,500 pounds. If your hand can hold only 700, that's how much you deadlift.
Right.
So,
yeah, I agree. The only time I'll use straps, is if I truthfully am at the end of my set or whatever, my workout, and I just can't hold on. I'm trying to go for that 1 rep max, and my groups, I'll throw them on. Or in the off chance, I like to do big supersets, so I'll do like a deadlift, and then I like to pair like deadlifts and a pull day together, so back and biceps. Okay. But all of those movements, when you're doing pull-ups, bicep curls, and freaking deadlifts, your grip strength and your forms are taking a real beating. So then maybe I'll throw the reps in on the deadlift just to save it for the other stuff.
Oh, yeah. I personally always do deadlift first and then everything else.
It depends. Yes, usually. And some days I'll do just my deadlift, 5 rounds, 4 rounds. Yeah. But I do enjoy those supersets.
I do use reps only if I want to do, let's say, isometrics or high reps, super high reps, like RDLs. I always use reps on RDLs. But like a deadlifts, regular conventional deadlifts when I was doing it, or even sumo, I never do more than 5 reps per set, me personally.
Yeah, I really, I used to like to go high rep. It's putting a ton of stress on your back and your back extensors, your low back muscles. And if you start getting it's super high volume, you're honestly doing just like too much stress, because it is a very taxing exercise. And I don't see a lot of value past those lighter numbers unless, you're going for hypertrophy and going lighter in weight, maybe.
Oh, 100%. Plus, there is the thing too. It's like one of the pluses of the sumo, you don't have so much pressure on your lower back. And it completely feels different. Like last year when I was competing, I always competed. I did only one competition with the sumo deadlift. All other ones I did with the conventional. I was always beat up. But after sumo deadlift, man, I went to the vacation and that was like nothing happened. So,
right.
And my lower back, I never had the lower back issues since. As much as I'm working on it, and I've fixed a lot of people's lower backs too, but still, it catches up to you sooner or later.
It will. And number one key to whatever method you choose, whatever variation of the deadlift or hinge you choose, if you follow these fundamentals we're about to talk about and dive into a little bit, it will help reduce any chance of injury and beating yourself up. So biggest thing about it is people are like, what's the difference between a deadlift and a squat? So on the deadlift, it's shoulders above hips and hips above knees. So you should have 3. You should be able to put, if you take a video or a picture of you in the depth of your deadlift or before you even pull it from the ground. Shoulders above hips, hips above knees. If those hips are above your shoulders at any point of the movement, you're doing too much weight, or you're not practicing some of these other techniques we're going to talk about. These other cues.
Yeah. And plus, that's one of the things too. You have to be in one line. Your deadlift, when you take a video from the side, it should not be like this moving up. Okay, it should be nice and straight.
Yep, exactly right. You want that bar to be able to go in a straight line from your shin all the way up to when you get to your hips. So that's one of my biggest techniques to try to start from, talking the fundamentals of the deadlift. What's another big one that you use a lot if someone's having any issues?
Man, I actually always trying to figure out where they are standing with the hip mobility-wise, and I put it like...
Huge.
Oh, yeah.
It affects my deadlift actually a lot.
Oh, yeah. So, one of the clients I had, he was always doing conventional, and I just moved him to the sumo because I was like, nah, man, your body is not built for a conventional deadlift. And he finally started doing sumo, and we just started stacking the weight on it. It just like a guy went on. So how your hips are set up, because there is a different types of setup to your hip. You can actually, I'm going to take a video on that one too, to do some teaching. Like you can ask your. It's actually two people. You need the two people in a freaking room to do that. Okay, you and your friend who are gonna examine you. So that's the way you will figure out if you're gonna do narrow or if your hips are set for a wider. And do I need to add something more?
Nope, good on that front. That's beautiful. And then remember back we were talking about during the bench press where you want to try to bend that bar into a U to get those elbows to stop flaring out. You're going to do the exact same thing on your deadlift.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to bend that bar in, and you're going to shrug your shoulders back, squeeze your shoulder blades down, and then down. This is going to activate those lats. And why do we need those lats activated? To help your chest from getting pulled forward. And also, I don't know if many of you might not know this, how low your lats attach on your spine. And so that's actually going to help bulletproof your lower back from having any issues too.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, because it goes all the way down. Same thing with the traps. A lot of people doesn't know the traps actually go all the way down to your hips. That's why a lot of bodybuilders have that diamond shape when they are super sharp.
You got your supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and there's a third one.
And something spinatus that I don't remember.
Yeah, there's three of them running down.
I need to get back to
I remember those
reading.
for some reason. I don't remember a lot of the anatomy, but I do remember those for some reason. And obviously core. Core is a huge part of this movement, and you want it braced the entire way through. And a lot of people like to, suck in their tummy. Or I've heard the cue used that I used to use, take a huge breath. And pretend your lungs are a balloon, right? And now we're going to push all the air out of that balloon. Until you're out of air. And you should feel your core contract. Not a terrible cue. I like this one better. You want to dig your fingers into your stomach or someone else's real deep. And now tell that person to push that away, okay? Dig it in and push those fingers out. You should not only feel that in the front, but also on your side. All right, and this is going to create a nice, strong foundation. Keep your back safe. Keep any of your guts that are meant to be on the inside from coming out. Nobody wants a hernia, okay, or to blow out your sphincter, I don't think. And so that's another huge cue that I'll use. Last thing, you just want to kind of, as you're in the bottom there, pull those hips into the ground. Create tension before you even ever start to lift that bar from the ground. Drive through those hips. Make sure there's no slack in the bar. So you should feel a little, like a fraction of an inch. You should feel that bar pull up into the top of those plates, whatever space there was, and then boom. Then you're gonna drive from there and lock it out at the top.
Yeah. Plus, I'm gonna add to the last cue for the abs, especially if you wear a belt. All right, don't pull it too tighty. It should be tight, but not too tight for you to barely be able to breathe. It should be tight enough for you to do exactly what he was doing with the fingers, okay? Because you have to press against that belt. It's like an extra setup for a core, like an extra set of core, but you have to use that right because you will still be able to hurt yourself even with the belt.
Great tip. Phenomenal. Other than that, when you're getting set up, you want to step into that bar. So it's a couple inches from your shin, and then you're going to roll that bar back and sit your hips back. Pull that bar into your shin.
And let's don't forget about proper warm-up because without proper warm-up, you cannot activate the muscles that should be activated. Like sometimes, do me a favor, go do a sumo deadlift without doing anything, okay? And then go do a hip abductors. I always call it good girl, bad girls.
Yeah.
Or with the bands, side steps, concentrate on your glutes, and then go and do those sumo or even regular conventional. All right, you will feel completely different.
Something that it can be really hard for people to activate those lats sometimes on the deadlift, and so again, some of those straight arm lat push downs.
Exactly, same
phenomenal
exercise.
Way to loosen, get them stretched out and primed,
and
so you
not
can
fatiguing.
feel.
Yeah, it's not fatigues you or anything.
No.
It's just gonna warm you up for the right exercise. It's gonna warm you up as it's needed for that exercise. and you just gonna activate all the right muscles, because sometimes you just start doing your deadlifts and you feel like crap, it's not going. But when you, and I did that years ago once, I was like short on the time, but then my plans got canceled and I was like, okay. So I just did a right warm-up. I was already on a 300 pounds too. I just did a right warm-up after that, and God, it went everything so much easier. So warm-up means a lot.
I also love to do
Don't neglect it.
some of those elephant walks. You familiar with those? Put the hands on the floor, and then you're basically gonna put the hands on the floor like you're doing a toe touch, and then you're gonna kind of you're gonna only lock one leg at a time. So both your knees are bent a little bit, and you're just gonna basically drive into the ground and lock it out. The one hip will rise, and you alternate sides. That loosens up the glute, the lower back, the hip, and the hamstring. I find those phenomenal as well.
Yeah, actually, that's great too.
I love those. You want to touch on anything else? All those same techniques and things will pretty much apply to your sumo as well. Yeah. Oh, one thing we didn't cover, hand placement on the bar. You want it just on the inside of your knees. When you're at the bottom, they should be basically rubbing the side of your leg.
Oh, yeah. Be careful with that. Always be careful with the hand placing. Make sure it doesn't mess with your knees or hips.
Right.
So in case of the conventional, your knees, your legs. And in case of the sumo, mostly it's your thighs,
right
hip
on the
area.
inside, right.
Because when you're going on a higher weight, we sometimes like to do this. And that's when your bicep will leave the chat. Okay,
Bicep and form, I've seen it.
Tear it off.
Yeah.
So
try to keep those arms straight and don't rely on pulling up. Rely on this and down in the lats.
Yeah, never bend it. Keep your freaking grip strong as possible.
Mistake.
Yeah.
I didn't get hurt, but I was making a mistake.
I see
and somebody called
but,
me out.
But thank God, though, you didn't win there.
Like, gosh, I didn't even realize I was doing that. Yeah. Yep. And then same thing, I think all that applies to the RDL except for the hand placement, which would be just inside of the thigh. And like he said, you don't want the knees. When I said that arm just on the outside of your leg, the knee or anything shouldn't force you to move your elbow or anything out of the way. It should just be like a smooth little rub right on the side of your leg.
Pretty much, yeah.
Anything else you want to add? Or yeah.
For deadlift, I think for a basics, we are set up.
Yeah. Cool. So that'll help you increase your numbers. It'll help you increase your form. If you're having any, low back pain and stuff because you're not lifting right, these tips should help with all those issues, I believe.
And by the way, if you guys want to know about accessory work for each lift, you let us know.
Yeah.
As I said, comment it, DM to us, send the email. What's the email?
My personal email, Mitchell Black, BLAAK@gmail.com.
There you go.
We have that topic submission form. Submit your questions there. Shoot us a freaking DM. DM is probably the easiest.
Yeah, freaking message us, okay? Or comment it. And freaking we gladly help out.
Please.
So, because that's proper accessory work, can do the magic.
100%. I guess we should go to the other upper body, right?
Shoulder press.
So,
where's my revolver?
you sound like who's that 007 guy, the Connor something, the Irish guy. I think he's Irish or Scottish. Ooh, I'm gonna have a lot of Irishmen, Scots mad at me.
007, James Bond.
James Bond, yeah, he's like the old guy. Whatever. Connor, I don't even know. So overhead,
just English guy.
Yeah, whatever.
But anyways,
he might be. I don't know.
We are so cultural,
but he had just a weird voice, but it was kind of sexy at the same time.
All right, let's rock and roll.
OHP, baby. All right. Overhead press. Where do we begin? Hand placement.
Yeah. Right now, I cannot do that thing to save my life.
Not
for
the
now.
Barbell.
But
he's doing some dumbbell work. He's taking it slow.
Yeah, I always, and a lot of people prefer that way, and I think that's the right way. A little bit wider than your shoulder width. Okay, that's in my opinion.
Yep. Just a little bit outside, and you're gonna line those thumbs up on the bar. And there's something we've been talking about that is recurring in all of these lifts, and that is
grip. Yep.
Creating that internal rotation. You want to get those elbows out and in front of the bar. You do not want that elbow stacked directly beneath your hand.
Because it will help you at the end to activate as much muscles as you require to freaking finish that lift. Because it's not just shoulders. There's a lot of tricep going there too.
Tricep, trap, core,
Exactly.
glutes if you're doing it right.
Exactly. Because freaking, trust me, man, it's like if you do, let's say, like that strongman competitions and stuff, I mean, they do keeping. They mostly not do any strict press.
Right.
But if you want to look impressive on Instagram or TikTok,
Or the beach.
I do like, who you going to freaking shoulder press? Your boyfriend or girlfriend?
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess I was referring to the after effect, not like the during the exercise.
Oh, yeah.
But
I mean, muscle-wise, yes.
Right.
But
So-
we weight maybe?
Yeah, right.
Hey,
But,
beauty?
Yeah, that is. So you don't want that. Why is this so hard? Couldn't do it backwards. You don't want
That's
that
what she
hand stacked above the elbow. We actually want that elbow rotated in and in front. Why? You tell me. Go grab a barbell and try holding it out in front like this, and see how much weight you can add on before it just gets pulled down automatically. Okay, so we want to get those elbows rotated in and forward, and we're actually going to have a little bit of a wrist bend, and that's going to help you with that because you want that. You don't want to be holding the weight of that entire barbell for the entire movement, if that makes sense. And you don't want your biceps to be doing most of the work, keeping it from falling forward.
Yeah, so let's say like that bar should be like pretty much if you put something like neutral, it has to be right above your wrist and it should be traveling one line, you know what I'm saying? Because you can apply the most force this way. Like if you, like as Mitch said, like if you keep it flat, push you forward, like no, elbows forward and keep it like the middle as I showing on the camera. Yeah, there you can see it.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's hard to do, isn't it? It's hard to do. Okay, so then next thing's next. We want this to move in a straight line. And so we're going to be returning and starting from your collarbone. Guess what's in the way of your collarbone? My chin. Well, that
was going to
too.
be shit back.
Yeah, and my third chin. But so my collarbone
That's
is
Ryan though.
right here. Yeah. Shout out to Ryan.
I bet he's gonna text us tomorrow.
So Matt, he will. So we got that forward. It's racked right at our collarbone. Now, how do we get it up without hitting our chin guard? It's the best way. It's the best way. I got you. It's good. It's good. Yep.
So, but I actually do have a problem. This hand is not go far away, so that's why I will never be able to do Olympic lifts. But as we explained, pretty much how you hold. You go up, all right. You from here you press up, and then at the end you are like looking out of the window.
Textbook. All right, so you got to move that head back a little bit and out of the way. Yes, in the deadlift, something we didn't mention, we want to keep a neutral chin. You'll see guys all the time kicking their head back like this. Don't do that. You're going to strain your neck. It's just not good form. You want a string attached from your chin to your collarbone. Your view is going to change as you hinge. You're going to be looking straight forward at the top and then down at the bottom.
Not gonna lie, I never explained this to any client because like everyone was doing automatically like.
Right. Well, it's a problem I saw a lot, and I've seen it corrected, and I was like, I like that a lot better, and I feel better too. Like, you don't want to lead with the smallest muscle group.
No, of course.
There's no point to it. Just
But I
doing
meant like a head part. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like a head part just came in naturally.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, probably because you coached them right, but a lot of times you might deal with people who learn bad habits elsewhere too, right?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and saw TikTokers doing it incorrectly themselves. But back to the topic. So yeah, you got to move that head out and out of the way, and then you're going to bring it back under, like he said. I like that cue, looking through a window. So you're locked out, you're neutral at the top, and then you're just going to move it back out of the way on its way back down. And make sure you do that head movement, because the further you get away from your body, you don't want to move your bar out of the way of your head. You want to move your head out of the way of the bar.
Yep.
And the further that is out in front, the less weight you're going to be able to do, because you're not moving in a straight line and you're not centered over, your base of support, if you will, center of gravity. Other than that, don't arch that back. If you start leaning way back, you're probably doing too much weight. Scale back a little bit. Try not to lean back too much, and let those hips shift forward.
Yeah, keep your abs as tight as possible at all times.
And glutes should be active. You're squeezing those little booty cheeks the whole time.
Yeah, leg drive. There you go.
Yep. Other than that, and then, same thing goes, man. Shoulder mobility is really important. Hit those primers, hit those shoulder mobility face pulls, bow and arrows with the hip bands, shoulder circles on the wall. Open them up or suffer the consequences. Final lift to cover gar.
And my favorite.
Mine
Is
too.
squat.
Let's build that dumpy dump.
And that's the last question you're going to get in your gym career is, how much do you squat, bro?
Right.
5 freaking love squats.
Me as well. It's my favorite. It's my favorite lift.
Yeah, and surprisingly, my deadlift is way higher than my squat, but I still love squats.
My deadlift is a little higher than my squat. They're both kind of inching up around the same area, but so this squat, as we said, it's a lot of knee bend, a little bit of hip hinge, and they should be happening at the same time.
And for your squat to be good, it's at least your hip bone has to pass your knee. So that means parallel. All right? You at least have to hit the parallel. So, and then you're in the green. If not, work on it.
And hip mobility, I would say, is probably the number one issue as far as achieving an incredible squat depth. And it's been a limiting factor for me, so I'm very knowledgeable on it. And so you want to focus on abduction. So you need to strengthen those little outer glutes and outer thighs to be able to keep that tension and open up those knees so that you can descend down between them instead of folding on top of them.
Oh, yeah, and that takes us to the warm-up part, too.
Yeah, which we'll throw some in here. There's so much that I could say.
Yeah.
Another huge limiter as far as depth, and if you ever feel like your heels are coming off the ground, generally that's an ankle issue, actually.
Ankle mobility.
Ankle mobility. And you need to stretch those calves. Do some ankle rolls, too, you know. I really like to get warmed up just staying in like a deep squat. I'll like hold a kettlebell goblet style, maybe even get my heels elevated a little bit and just like sit there and shift my weight around and open up my legs, do some abduction, dig my elbow in. I find that's one of my favorite ways to get warmed up for the squat.
And by the way, a lot of guys who wear boots, like construction guys, they do have a problem with the ankle mobility, like always. Like I catch that all the time.
And I love my boots in the wintertime. My feet actually like cramp up after a long day of wearing boots. My American-made Thorough Goods or Red Wings. You know, I love them things. But they make me tight and my calves are tight. Anything you want to touch on as far as tightness is in on the depth while we're in the depth topic before we talk fundamentals and setup and technique?
Oh, yeah. By the way, so sure. There's a multiple version of squats too. And as I said, as I touched about the hip structure on a deadlift part, it's the same goes with this. Your hip might not be made for Olympic style squat. You know, you probably, some of you should like a squat on a wider stance. Like mine exactly is a little bit wider than my shoulder width. Again.
Yeah.
So, and it just
Not
looks
sumo,
perfect.
but it's wider.
Yeah. So, is there a sumo squat? Yeah.
Yeah.
Freaking hell. I guess so.
I just saw Brian doing some kind of sumo box squat with the bar you were talking about, the kabuki bar. Pretty sure I just saw him doing that.
I mean, that's actually the second squat. That's not a sumo squat.
That's a wide squat, man. That's like
really?
wider than I can squat.
That was wider than mine. The video. Oh wow.
I'm like
Okay.
99%. I saw it like a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'm pretty confident.
My bad.
Anyway, but yeah, so sumo would just be the same concept as the problem with sumo squat. I find is when you try going too wide, your hips can't go out that far, so your depth is going to be seriously impacted. You're working a cool group of muscles, and I'd say do all
I mean, exactly what I do. I cannot do ass to grass. If I do ass to grass, my heels are definitely on an elevation. I use bumper plates or Like you can buy it on Amazon, the special like freaking little metallic heel thingies.
Yeah.
That you can elevate your heels. That way, yeah, I can go to the astrograph and I stand really, really close, my feet. But that's accessory work for me. But my main squat is pretty wide, okay? And I just I pretty much break well, but I don't go too low. I do wider stance squat. You incapable of going low when you go wide. It's just impossible.
Right.
So, and the same thing goes, if you go wide stance, you automatically going to start doing a lower bar squat. So
let's talk about that real quick. So you got low bar and high bar. High bar is like right, you don't want it on your neck first off. That's nothing. That's not high bar. High bar is right across those traps. As many contact points as possible. It should basically be touching you from shoulder to shoulder all the way across. No gaps. We understand this can be uncomfortable for some people, but toughen up. Okay, you're gonna have to deal with some bruising, some soreness, a red line. But if you don't want to toughen up, they do make these really cool. Perfect Peach makes one. There's tons of brands out there. What?
Pussy pads?
Just a shoulder pad so you can wrap the bar. I love to use them for glute bridges, but you can. Some of my female clients or older clients.
That's what everyone calls
and people that might not have as much muscle in that upper neck area. So females a lot don't. And so you may want to use that pad.
Man, I'm just being a knucklehead right now. But
yeah. Well, you got it. Although the pad does make it a little more unstable.
Oh yeah, but I still use it for one of my female clients. She has a lot of pain in like a shoulder area and stuff like that. So I just use that.
Yep.
For her.
And then you get the high right across there, and then the low bar would be low bar can be tough for people if they have really poor shoulder mobility.
Oh yes, that's why a lot of people you will see if you ever watch the powerlifting, they go all the way down.
Right.
But I feel it very uncomfortable to engage that like a rear delts, because you pretty much the bar lands exactly on your rear delts pretty much. You know what I'm saying, on your back.
And fundamentally speaking, you're not going to have as much control of the bar or pull like power, just kind of like getting locked in when you're so wide.
Yeah. So God bless them, man. I cannot figure out how they are doing this, but I do work on the shoulder mobility a lot just to keep my hands closer, because then I can exactly do what Mitch few times said. Trying to bend that freaking bar. Bend
that bar and rotate those elbows in and under it. You want those elbows in line with your torso. You don't want them flared back. You want to get those lats involved. That's going to help you keep your chest up.
Oh, exactly. Because that's one of the things. Like every time you see a competition, if someone loses it, like at least half of it is dude just going.
Yep.
And that's because he didn't activate those lats. He didn't kept himself upright because of lacking what we've been explaining, and he's been explaining.
And those low back extensors in core play a role as well. And sometimes if you can't keep those hips in extension or that back in extension, that's another part of it, but it's all related. It's all related. You want to create a nice, strong, tight little bubble
like
for yourself.
Pretty much is a full body exercise.
Full body exercise.
Deadlifts and squats, man. As surprising as it is, yes, it's at the end, it's a full body exercise.
All right, so let's talk some little tips, cues, techniques, fundamentals. So we talked about different stances you can do. It's going to be different for every person. I do recommend having those feet out on a little angle. I don't like straight feet squats. That's not how the hips work. Turn those feet out. I like to kind of just stand straight, squeeze my glutes, and kind of lift one foot up off the ground at a time, kind of waddle. And usually they'll naturally kind of open up to your squat stance. Okay, so then...
and Mitch is doing that with the closed stance, pretty much Olympic style stance.
Yep.
Me, as I said, I'm doing a wide. So, and mine is not just a little bit out. Mine is actually 45 degrees. A lot out.
Mine too.
You know
Mine too. Yeah. 100%. And again, this will vary for everybody. But okay, so you could pick high bar or low bar. You're going to want to grab that bar, pull the bar down, bend it over your shoulders, and rotate those shoulders under. Let's talk about the start of the squat.
If you don't mind. But again, you want to take high bar if you are doing a closer stance, because low bar will not let you go low enough for that specific squat style.
Right.
Will not.
Yep.
So
correct.
I would say keep it exclusively almost for the wider stance for
Great
your
tip.
low bar.
Yeah. I like to describe it as pretend that you're squatting underwater. Okay, so you're going to do that core bracing technique. Push those fingers away. You're going to activate your glutes and everything before you even begin the squat. And then you are going to take a deep breath and hold it and brace that core. Don't breathe underwater, right? You can't. So you need to be back at the top of your squat before you take another breath. And I try to treat each rep kind of individually, depending on how much weight. When I'm going really heavy, okay, if I'm going lighter weight, maybe I can take a breath or something. Maybe I'll just do like quicker reps. But okay, and so then you're going to squat to your depth, and then come back up, take a deep breath, or let out the first one. Brace that core and squat again. That's going to help you keep a real tight core, and watch how freaking much your numbers will improve when you do that.
Yeah, when you're nice and tidy. Because like I was explaining to one of my clients, right? Let's say you have a Coke can, right? And it's open. What you going to do if you will squish that can? Of course, it's going to
squeeze out the...
Exactly. You're just going to freaking become the form of your fingers and stuff,
Right.
But what if you will do the same thing with the closed can? Absolutely nothing. Same thing with you breathing and holding and keeping yourself tight. So,
great analogy. Love that.
yeah, I use before I will start like a lift, I have my breath, like just my mouth closed, and I hold that breath. Everything is tight. It's braced against the belt. If I use the belt, and always do it even with the empty bar, because at the end it's gonna build up. If you don't do it in a bar, you will not take it as seriously. You always have to do it with the empty bar. It doesn't matter what you do. So yeah. So, and before you will pick up the bar too, embrace it. Okay, brace your abs, everything nice and tidy, and only then pick up the bar. It's like I know, if you want, you can put the video of me squatting, right?
I'll do as much overlay as I can, but it's also a long episode. It's going to be a lot of editing as is. I'll try to throw some like graphics and stuff in.
Yeah, but in the future, I don't know. It's like I will
will
put
do
on
a
my
future.
page and stuff.
Yeah.
You will always see on my page that before I will squat, before I will pick up the bar, I breathe in and I fill myself up as much oxygen as I can, brace myself, get tight as possible, and only then I lift the bar.
And another part on the unracking process, just make sure your hips are under the bar, perfectly under the bar, and you want to be in a strong stance.
Sure.
Like you could squat in that stance. You don't want to pick up with one leg or one leg kicked behind you. Get in a strong stance, get those glutes active, especially when you start getting to the heavier numbers. And make sure those hips are directly stacked beneath the bar, because if they're out in front or out behind, you're just wasting energy. You're putting your back at risk,
100%.
wasting core strength. And then you don't need to take 5. What are you, scared of the rack? Don't take 5 steps away from the rack. Okay, take 2, 3 little steps back from the rack as quick as you can, because all the time you're under that bar, you're going to be wasting energy. As always, guys, you're the reason we're doing this. Please submit questions. If there's anything you want to hear about, shoot us that email.
So email, and remind people what was the email.
MitchellBlack@gmail.com.
Yeah, there you go. His personal email. Or listen, the fans podcast. Okay, comment, DM us. Don't be shy. We are doing this for you. So, and we are actually being a little selfish too. We are doing this for ourselves, to improve ourselves and get more knowledge and be able to teach better. So
help us get better.
Exactly, for you at the end.
For you, yeah.
I mean, this is how it is. Anyways.
Help us help you.
Exactly. So don't be shy. We are a family. Text us, DM us,
Boom, boom.
and email.
To stay up to date on all things that we're up to and will be up to, you can follow us on Instagram at @thefence_podcast. On YouTube, subscribe at The Fence Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Simply search at The Fence.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see you next time, guys.
Have a good day.